Hi there, I'm Camilla Campuzano, the Community Manager of Montessori Thrive and Nido Marketing. Welcome to the Nido Marketing YouTube channel, where every week I make a video to help Montessori school leaders market their schools, grow their enrollment, and find a sense of support when it comes to leading their Montessori schools. In this week's video, I'm going to be sharing all about Nido Marketing's favorite tips when it comes to giving above and beyond school tours to prospective families. Now, if you've been in the Montessori space long enough, you'll know the importance and significance of giving these great tours, not only from a Montessori marketing perspective, but also from a parent education perspective. This is a great opportunity to build a great first face-to-face impression with families. So let's get into our favorite tips for giving great school tours. First and foremost, it's so important to make scheduling a tour as easy as possible. This is why we strongly recommend using automations and a CRM or client relationship manager to help you simplify your scheduling approach. If you don't have automated tour scheduling on your website, you could be missing out on so many leads, because if parents have to really do a little bit of extra work, a little bit of extra digging just to schedule a tour, it's likely they're going to go to the schools where it's easy and quick first, and they might not even follow up with you if they're not really, maybe knowledgeable about Montessori or aren't interested. Whereas a school who has automations to schedule tours easily, calls to action throughout their website, it's so much more enticing, and the parent knows exactly what they need to do on your website to take the next step in the admissions process. It's important to be clear that scheduling a tour is such an important part of the entire admissions process for those parents. Another great way to utilize a CRM or a client relationship manager in this process is to use the CRM to check in with families throughout the scheduling process. So when they fill out a form, they'll receive an automated email reminding them of their time to come in for a tour. They'll receive some follow-up emails as well, just to remind them, to offer them any additional resources in advance, a phone call, or even a text message in advance to check in with them to make sure they know that they scheduled a tour, to remind them, to give them any information that they need to be prepared for the tour. Using automations is essential. Not only does it make your school look so much more professional, it makes it that much easier for the parent to take the next step. If you're looking for a CRM, we have one specifically for Montessori schools. We have our Montessori CRM. It's a great tool that has helped many schools grow their admissions and really transform the admissions and tour scheduling process. I'll also give a quick tour of how we advertise or have CTAs, calls to action, for tour scheduling throughout our Nido site, which is our sample Montessori school website. So here we are on the homepage of our Nido site, which is our sample school website. It's at nidosite.com. You can use it as an example for your own school website as a model. But here I just want to point out how easy it is to check a tour. So here we have one of our pop-ups. Let me just click out of that real quick. So here we are on our homepage, and you can see we have our tagline, we have a little bit of information about exactly who we serve, and then followed by a schedule a tour button. It's very much front and center. We also decided to go ahead and put the schedule a tour button on our navigation bar, so it's always there regardless of what page the parent decides to explore. It's very easy to schedule a tour with us. So here you would, if you're a parent, you would click on schedule a tour. And of course, as a school, you can set this up based on your own availability. But from a parent's point of view, I see what openings are available. So I can very easily click a time that would work for me to come in. It's very simple. I'm then invited to fill out a few fields, such as my name, my phone number, my email, what programs I'm interested in, and any questions or comments I may have. And I'll click here, book my tour. When I do that, I'll receive an automated email basically confirming my tour. And then perhaps on the school's end, they can follow up with a phone call to answer any questions, and just send any reminders or email nurtures after that. So it's a great system to have in place. If you don't have this on your school website, again, you're making scheduling a tour so much more difficult for that busy prospective parent, and you're putting that extra barrier there. You don't want to do that. Instead, have automated scheduling on your website. This should be step one on really transforming your tour process. Our next step when it comes to offering great school tours is to offer a tour in different formats. Not only is it just more inclusive, it can be so much more convenient for busy parents. The reality is, there's a lot of families where both parents are working, and it's really difficult to come in during working hours for some parents without having to take off work. And if that's the case, they're going to have to take off work several times if they're comparing different schools in their area. So offering virtual tours can be a great solution for Montessori schools. We've also learned that from schools who do offer virtual tours, the turnout rate is so much higher because parents are much less likely to cancel if they just have to, log into Zoom and they can do it from the comfort of their home or in their office. It's just so much more convenient. So offering this is a great solution if you have a lot of tour cancellations on your end. It's just going to ensure that it's easy for those parents to come in. Nowadays, we have things like Zoom that make it so much easier to give these virtual tours. Just make sure you have a good system in place when it comes to offering these virtual tours. Make sure you start off with a little explanation. You can walk through the classrooms. Make sure you're showing them the environment in a time that's not too distracting of the day, of course, and make sure to answer all the questions. Pretty much operate your virtual open house or open tours in a similar way. It's a great way to go above and beyond when it comes to flexibility for families. Also, I do want to note that when parents do come in person, make sure you're really appreciative of them coming in. It's a difficult thing for parents to do, especially if they're busy. So make sure you make that in-person experience special, but offer them that opportunity to opt in for a virtual tour, as that might be such a game changer for them. Another way that you can really push your tours above and beyond is by offering resources that are super relevant, informative, and valuable to parents. I'm going to do a little shout out here to Montessori Thrive, which is our resource membership site where we have a bunch of resources that will help you with your Montessori marketing. But here are just a few examples of some resources that we offer schools who want to kind of just take their tours that extra notch. Things like a school comparison checklist, a tour observation checklist, a pre-tour questionnaire, or a pre-tour information packet can really be things that prepare your parents, those prospective parents, to see, to understand what they're seeing and when they come in for the tour. And that makes it so much more valuable and such a better experience for them. This will help to establish yourself as a thought leader, because when families are learning about Montessori and the benefits of Montessori directly through you, you're becoming an authority on Montessori in their minds. It's so valuable because, you really just push yourself over the edge, especially if they're comparing you to other Montessori schools in the area. If they're getting all of this information from you, they're getting resources, they're seeing just how supportive you are to your parent community, that can really be a factor that they take into account when it comes to the final decision-making process of where they're going to apply. Let parents research from you. Again, when you're handing them resources like this, you're allowing them to learn about Montessori through you. You're allowing them to be a little bit more perceptive when they do come in for the tour. For instance, if you're giving them a tour observation checklist, it makes sure that they know exactly what they should be looking for throughout the tour. It also makes sure that you have pointed out every single benefit possible that you can throughout the tour. So these things are important just to make sure that they really see the full benefits of everything that your programs are offering. Again, have a brochure, but think a little bit bigger. Offer just some supportive articles, some research. There's a lot of parents who appreciate facts and research when it comes to their final decision-making process. So really add these things in your packet. Also, having a blog on your website can be really helpful because parents can do a little bit of digging, and you can also encourage them to read your blog after the tour if they have any questions about Montessori or the benefits of Montessori. And of course, offer guidance for them throughout the tour. Check in with them, make sure if they have any questions, and use language that's really approachable, because while we as Montessorians are very familiar with our lingo, we understand Montessori vocabulary very well. During these tours, there are prospective parents who might be new to the Montessori vocabulary. So we want to be careful with the wording that we're using. Maybe a great resource as well to offer them would be kind of a little Montessori dictionary where you break down all of the phrases that you're using, all of the terminology that you're using throughout your tour. We also have one of those in our collection. But resources can be a great way to really push your school over the top throughout the tour process. This is where our CRM comes back into play, because I really think that if you want your tours and the overall experience that those parents are going to have with your school firsthand is to use email nurtures. Email nurtures can be used both before the tour and after the tour. They can be used before the tour, the second that they receive that confirmation for their booking a tour. Then you can follow up with, here's our pre-tour information, our booklet with all the information that you might need, and our tour observation checklist. And then you can send a final reminder, your tour is coming up tomorrow. It's at this time. Do you wish to cancel? Yes or no? Do you have any questions for us before your tour? So that can be a great example of just a quick 3 email nurture for parents about to go into their tour. And then after that tour, you can, of course, follow up with an email saying, thank you so much for coming to our school. We really appreciated our time together and answering all of your questions. You can, of course, send a series of emails reminding them to send in an application, kind of nudging them that, oh, we are, starting a wait list. So if you wanted to apply to our school after your tour, now's a great time to send in your application so that you can be considered for our program. You can also use email nurtures for canceled tours, or you can reach out via phone afterwards as well. So if a parent just cancels a tour out of the blue, you can send an email nurture to help them maybe reschedule their tour. You can say, oh, did you get busy? Do you want to reschedule your tour? Is there a reason that you canceled? You can do this either via email or with a phone call. It's important to follow up with these leads. Don't let them fall through the cracks, because maybe you caught them on a busy day. Maybe you caught them at a bad moment when they canceled, and you can have an opportunity to revisit with them, touch base, and maybe encourage them to come in for a tour after all. Maybe you can even offer them, oh, was an in-person tour a little bit too much for your schedule? Maybe we can do a virtual tour instead. So following up with parents is important. Also, after they come in for a tour, whether it's a virtual tour or an in-person tour, if you feel that they haven't communicated with you a lot after, you can offer a one-on-one meeting or a phone call to answer any questions that they may have, or just to say, do you want us to guide you through the application process now that you've come in for a tour? I'm happy to do that. It's a very easy 3-step process. Happy to answer any questions. So, be gentle. You don't want to be too pushy, but it's important to use email nurtures. I think oftentimes in the Montessori space, what we observe is schools are very scared of coming off as salesy. I know that's not in our Montessori nature to be pushy, but it's important to check in. Parents have a lot going on. Sometimes they can be overwhelmed. Think about it as a way of you touching base, making sure that they're making the right decision. And just that you're staying top of mind to them, because it's important. You're putting a lot of work into your tours. You want to make sure that, parents are hearing you out and considering you fairly. So that's just a thought there. Ultimately, having great tour strategies is going to help your overall Montessori marketing strategy. It's an important part of the process for parents. We know as Montessorians that nothing really transforms parents into Montessori quite like seeing our environments, the children in deep concentration in our classrooms. All of this is so important for them to see and to really understand our mission and what Montessori has to offer. It's also an opportunity for them to meet you face to face and meet your community. So it's important to not only have a strategy in place for getting parents into your school for a tour, but also how you're going to over deliver when it comes to the tour, and over deliver after the tour as well. That's a significant part. I would love to hear your Montessori school tour strategies. If you have any questions, comments, or tips, feel free to comment them below. We love hearing your ideas. I'll be back next week with another Montessori marketing video. Until then, have a great week.